Hey, Astro Kids, and welcome back. And this is my interpretation of what it looks like to have your natal moon in the nakshatra of Revati. So before we get into this, we first have to understand what the moon represents, and then we have to break down this nakshatra of Revati. And just a quick disclaimer that this is not according to Western tropical astrology. This will be according to Vedic astrology, which is using the sidereal zodiac. So if you're not familiar with what your sidereal moon sign is, there is a link to a calculator down below in the description so that you have the correct information. The moon is one of the most important grahas in Vedic astrology. The moon is representing your mind, therefore the moon represents everything in your life. The moon is a reflector, it is a projector. Everything in your mind becomes a manifestation with your physical reality. In the same way, you are perceiving everything that is within your reality. So the moon is projecting what is in your mind and is reflecting everything that is within your reality. The moon represents your body, your health, your vitality. It is how you are interacting with others. When people are coming across you and making connections, this is the personality that is coming forward. The moon represents your social standings, how you fit into society. The moon is also popularity and beauty. It is how you're able to adapt and relate to others. The moon is representing the mother, your connection to your mother, what kind of nurturing that you need emotionally. What is making you feel emotionally satisfied? The moon is also representing all of the fluid in your body. So it is connected to your water intake. It is connected to your nourishment, all of your needs that need to be met. The moon is a very personal planet that has to do with your emotions, how you are reacting and responding to situations around you. So, Revati can be found from 16 degrees 40 minutes all the way till 30 degrees, the very end of our zodiac of the sign of Pisces. So, this is our last and final nakshatra. This is the completion of the journey through all of our 27 nakshatras. And so, as we started out this journey in Ashwini, which was the beginning, the dawn time, that sign of Aries brought us into existence. That was the birth of man into matter, into physical form. And so that was the beginning of the journey, the manifestation of the ego into existence. But as we have gone throughout this zodiac, it has been a journey of maturity and development of the soul. And coming into the sign of Aquarius is where we saw the shattering of the ego, where we saw the fall of the ego, where one had deep karmas of serving and helping humanity. As we've come here into the sign of Pisces, this has become all about liberation, freeing oneself from the entrapment of this material existence, what we call the Maya, the illusion of this world. And so here in Revati, this is the ultimate position of liberation. And I found that this is a nakshatra that is deeply misunderstood. So I've heard a lot of astrologers out there who have described this nakshatra as very soft, very gentle, very sweet, all about helping others. And there is some truth to this, but this nakshatra is not as soft as it is depicted. This nakshatra is all about the liberation from the material existence. And so in some way, this is actually a very cold and detached nakshatra. It is removed from this material existence and is operating on a higher vibration. And so there is some distance that is found here. Revati means the shining one or the shining light who leads those who need support in the right direction, or the one who nourishes, who guides, protects, and fosters. And so this is a nakshatra that is strongly related to the protection of children, that is strongly related to roadways, directions. It is strongly related to a path to travel. And this is the path towards the divine, the path back home. So this is where the full story of our journey comes to an end, the completion. This is where everything that was created returns back to the creator. And so this is symbolized by a fish swimming in the sea. And this is representing us swimming through the ocean of consciousness, being totally free to explore and to swim through this existence while not being attached to it. So again, this has everything to do with this liberation, this enlightenment, this higher state of consciousness. Another symbol of this nakshatra is a drum. And so this is dealing with the rhythm, the timing. These are people who often have very good timing. These are very intuitive people who can arrive at the right place at the right time. And oftentimes travels and journeys found under this nakshatra are protected. These are people who are protected in their travels, whether this is physical travel or spiritual travel. These are people who also have a knack for finding things that are lost and are very good with directions and navigation. The drum also can be connected to rhythm in terms of creativity. So this is by far one of the most creative of all of the nakshatras, as this is again found in the sign of Pisces, which is a very artistic sign. And it is also a Mercury nakshatra. It is the height of Mercury's influence, as it is the last and final Mercury nakshatra. And we talked about how Mercury is about the mastery of skills. It is about the knowledge and skills that are used to manipulate the material world to your advantage. And so this is all about mastery of skill on this deep, profound artistic plane of expression. So these are very creative, very talented individuals often who are born under this position. Another thing to note is that the moon is a very prominent part of an individual's personality. However, you want to pay attention to how the moon is placed in the chart. So I've got many comments about people saying that they don't resonate with their moon sign. The moon is only one aspect of your natal chart, so it's important to understand how all of these pieces fit together. You have to look at all of the placements. And especially when you're talking about the moon, you want to look at the dispositor of the moon, and you want to look at the nakshatra lord. You want to look at how it's aspected, if it's with any other planets. All of these things will influence how the moon is being expressed. And it's especially true here because Mercury, which is the nakshatra lord here, is in conflict with the moon. Mercury and the moon are not friends with one another, and they're both very impressionable. So you want to pay close attention to how is Mercury operating in your chart. This is definitely a nakshatra where if the placements are negative, then these traits can be flipped and reversed here in Revati. We can see that as Revati is the last and final nakshatra, that it is the culmination of all nakshatras. So this is carrying the qualities of every single nakshatra in the entire zodiac. It is the container of everything. And this is dealing with this being the final nakshatra in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is the culmination of everything. Pisces is merging with everything because this is where we see Venus reaches its exaltation. And Venus has everything to do with love. And Pisces is all about this universal mergence with the spirit, with the divine. So this is a universal love. This is a universal merging with all of these energies coming together. And so there is a very high state of consciousness that is found here, of this awareness of all things and the ability to manipulate all things, to create all things. And so this is definitely a nakshatra that is associated with illusions, with magic, with mysticism, with artistic abilities once again. Those who are able to manipulate the illusion of this world by remaining spiritually detached from it. And this nakshatra definitely reminds me of mermaids. There is a very mystical feel to this energy. Those who are born under Revati often are very attractive. And especially in this nakshatra, there's a very sexual and hypnotic energy that is found here. So these are people who often are very enchanting, who are using their sexuality to draw others in. We can see this energy playing out here in Revati. And similar to the original tale of the mermaids or the sirens, there is some danger to this nakshatra as well. So while these are individuals who are very enlightened, who are very spiritual, very mystical, there also is a side to this nakshatra that can be very deadly and destructive to others. There's often a tendency to want to play games or tricks under this nakshatra, as again, this is the height of Mercury's influence, and Mercury is known as a trickster. So there is an element of humor and game playing that is found here, where some who are born under Revati can be very manipulative, who can play tricks on others, who can test others to see what kind of reaction they will get. So definitely we can see this playful side that can border on a darker side here in this Revati nakshatra. So again, this is a very soft nakshatra, but is often not playing out as soft in terms of their personality. It is soft in terms of the spiritual, mystical energy that is found here. I've actually noticed that the females who are born under this nakshatra often are coming across as masculine or aggressive in their demeanor. So there is sometimes a tomboyish nature that is found here as well, where these are very strong women who are born under Revati. The men often are very much on the shyer side. They're often very reserved and closed off. So again, this energy is beyond this material existence. These are people who are not interested in small talk, who are not interested in the superficial. These are very deep individuals who often have a fascination towards spirituality and mysticism. You can see all sorts of spiritual practices under this nakshatra. And these are people who have very deep belief systems. They believe in the divine. They believe in spirit. These are people who are following their faith and philosophy in life. Although these are people who are often not religious, they are openly spiritual, as this is Pisces, which is about open spirituality, and Mercury, being the nakshatra lord, is about variety. Mercury likes to test out new things. It is interested in exploring new things. And so this is definitely a nakshatra that can dabble in different forms of spirituality and religion that are not tied to any particular religion. For the most part, those who are born under Revati are not taking life as seriously. They are seeing life as an experience, to live in the moment, to enjoy it, to play around with things, to test things out, to explore, to travel. This nakshatra, again, is very much associated with travel. And so these are people who are kind of going with the flow of life. They are seeing what they can get out of life. So this is definitely, again, a very detached nakshatra. This is a nakshatra that is just here to play, to have fun, to laugh, to enjoy the ebbs and flows of life. And this is the ultimate liberation, is coming into this state of neutrality. And so again, we've seen that the Bhadrapadas, the two nakshatras that came before this, were symbolized by twins, which gave the ability to see from multiple perspectives. And so it is here in Revati where we're dissolving these illusions, these one-sided perspectives, and being able to see from all sides, being open to everything that life has to offer. Due to this nature of being detached and lighthearted in their approach to life, they often can come off as very mysterious, as very difficult people to understand. They have a very elusive nature to their personality that is very mystical and removed from society. The deity that rules over this nakshatra is Pushyan, and Pushyan is the protector of animals. He is the shepherd who watches over all creatures. He is also the guide, the ferryman who leads souls into the afterlife. And so this, again, is associated with pathways, with travel, with this ability to arrive back home, to travel back to divinity, to spirituality, to where the soul was born and created, is associated with this nakshatra of Revati. And so there definitely is a connection to guiding others, to testing others to see where they are spiritually, to see how evolved people are, to see what they will do, to give the proper guidance and assistance to others. And this is a nakshatra that can have a love for animals. These are people who can have a special connection with pets. You can see people who are veterinarians, people who are standing up for charities and causes that help animals. These are people who also can have an affinity towards protecting children. Again, that is also associated with this nakshatra. Hoshan is described as being one of the softest of the deities. And so this is showing the beauty, the mysticism of this nakshatra once again. These are often very attractive people. They have very soft and gentle features typically. And so this makes them very attractive and mysterious individuals. They can have a connection with traveling in their work as well. They can work in tourist industries, travel industry. They can do work that involves traveling long distance overseas. Sometimes there is a bit of a godlike energy to this nakshatra, where these individuals can have a bit of an ego or arrogance, where they are feeling that they have transcended everything of this material existence. And again, this is everything that this nakshatra has to do with, is this liberation, is this enlightenment, this journey back to the source. And so this connection to this God energy, this God force can be seen here in this Revati nakshatra. And like all nakshatras, this can be expressed negatively or positively. So this is not necessarily about this energy being negative. This is something where, again, you have to pay attention to everything that is occurring within your natal chart. Seeing how this is being aspected, seeing what Mercury is doing in the chart, all of this will come into importance with understanding this placement. Although these individuals can come across as detached and mysterious, a bit cold in their demeanor, they can also get easily hurt. So there is a sensitivity that is found here within Revati as well. These are people who are very sensitive and caring from the inside, but they are often very strong and dominant from the outside. So these are people who generally are very sure of themselves. They have an inner belief in the divine, in the powers that they possess, and they are looking to explore and to do things in their own way. Pisces is a sign that is associated with isolation. So there is a sense of individuality that is found here. Jupiter, also being the ruler of Pisces, is a planet of freedom. And so these are people who need a lot of freedom to explore things on their own. These are people who can use their charm to manipulate others, who can use their softer qualities to get what they want out of life. And there can be a codependent side where they can lean on others for support to get what they want out of a situation. But ultimately, these are people who are very sure of themselves, who are very much confident and have this strong sense of individuality. They can be very talented again in music, in the arts, in any forms of creative expression. They're able to tap into this unconscious force, this divine energy, and to express it through creativity. So these are people who are daydreamers, who are very imaginative people, but they're able to actually manifest this imagination in reality because these are people who are connected to the divine, who are connected to a higher power, who are removed from the world, but are also highly conscious of the world as well. They possess a deep wisdom where they're able to see reality for what it is. Along with this attraction to mysticism, to spirituality, to deeper subjects, there can be an ability to tap into psychic abilities, to tap into spiritual powers. There can be an attraction towards witchcraft, towards occult knowledge that is found under this nakshatra. And so these are people who have access to abilities that others are not even aware of. There also can be a love of water under this nakshatra. We see this association with Pisces being a water sign and the symbol of this nakshatra being a fish in the sea. So there is this huge connection to the water where this is definitely something that can be healing and rejuvenating for those who are born under Revati. Revati people also can be involved again in charities and social work and things that are helping children in particular. So they have an affinity towards children and animals for the most part. These are people who are able to see the bigger picture. They have a wide open perspective and a neutral perspective again. This is also referred to as the wealthy star. And so this is a nakshatra that has the potential to achieve great wealth. These are people who can be very successful within their lives. They can take their creations and turn it into something in the physical world, which can manifest a great deal of wealth and fame. Ultimately, though, this connection to wealth is not only a physical source of wealth, but these are individuals, again, who seek to enjoy life to the fullest, who seek to find the humor, to find the playfulness in life. They are deriving wealth from existence itself. Oftentimes, those with Revati can come across as very sweet and charming again on the surface, as they can be very quiet and reserved people. But oftentimes, their silence can yield a ton of power over situations. Again, they are able to get reactions out of people. They're able to get what they want very easily through their charm. And so there is an element to this softness of this nakshatra that is very superficial. Again, there is more to explore under this nakshatra as far as the talents, the abilities that are found here. Sometimes these are people who can struggle with insomnia and restlessness. Again, this is a nakshatra that's associated with traveling. So there can be an interest in exploring, a curiosity here where these individuals need to travel, they need to learn, they need something that is mentally stimulating to occupy their time, or there can be boredom and restlessness here. These are people who like to be productive, who can be very skilled in business and communication, and can use this to their advantage to become very successful. Sometimes with this association with children, you can see these people working as foster parents. You can see them in adoption agencies, people who, again, who have this affinity towards children. These are people who also have the power to overcome obstacles within their lives. So there is an association in this nakshatra to Lord Ganesh, as some say that Ketu also is a secondary ruler of Pisces, and Ketu is associated with Lord Ganesh. We also can see this in the fact that the sexual type of this nakshatra is an elephant, and Lord Ganesh is also having an elephant head. So this ability to overcome the obstacles of life is due to this carefree nature, seeing life as a game, seeing life as something to be enjoyed, to express oneself creatively. These are people who can be very kind and selfless due to their ability to see that they have lived all of these lifetimes. There's a feeling of not needing to take anything else out of this existence. These are givers by nature. These are people who are just here to experience life as it is. And this is the only nakshatra that is sattvic at all of its three levels. This is also a moksha-driven nakshatra, and it has a deva or divine temperament. And so this is a highly spiritual nakshatra that has the ability to become evolved to reach this high state of consciousness. Again, this is an ability that it has. It doesn't necessarily mean that everyone under this nakshatra will be spiritually evolved, but it carries the potential to reach this very high state of consciousness. These are people who are met with a choice, as this is the end of the road, the closing of the chapter of life itself. These are people who can choose to swim back to the material world or can choose to move towards a higher path. And this is what we can see in the symbol of Pisces with the two fish that are tied together swimming in opposite directions. We're met with a choice of how we will end this journey. So each nakshatra can be divided up into 4 padas or 4 feet. And this is going to give us a closer understanding of what this nakshatra is like and how it is behaving. And so we can see that all of these quarters are going to show up within the Navamsa chart, which is something that we will discuss in a future video, is looking deeper into that Navamsa to get a closer understanding of who we are and what our life is really about. And so in the first quarter of this nakshatra, we have a Sagittarius Navamsa, which is positioned from 16 degrees 40 minutes till 20 degrees of Pisces. These are people who are highly philosophical, intuitive, and spiritual. They are all about striving towards a higher meaning in life. Unveiling deeper information is found under this nakshatra. These are people who can be very skilled in writing and teaching and all sorts of creative activities and pursuits. These are people who can be very skilled with their imagination, who have a very broad scope, who are able to see the bigger picture, and so are able to create very broad and intriguing works of art that capture the attention of others. These are people who are very skilled in terms of their writing, their communication abilities, their ability to share with the world. And these are people who often are very wise, who are very much about deep and philosophical conversation, who are not interested in any sort of small talk. Out of all of the placements in this nakshatra, this is the most optimistic and carefree. Those who are born under the second quarter of Revati are born under a Capricorn Navamsa. This is from 20 degrees till 23 degrees, 20 minutes of Pisces. And these are people who can be very serious, who can be very disciplined and hardworking. They need a sense of organization in their lives, and they have very prominent organizational skills. They're very practical and realistic people who see life for exactly what it is. And they're very much goal-oriented people. They can often have a restlessness about them where they are unable to be in situations where they are not being productive. One of the difficulties with this second quarter is sometimes a depression that can create an inability to move forward. Those who are born under the third quarter are born under an Aquarius Navamsa. This is falling from 23 degrees 20 minutes till 26 degrees 40 minutes of Pisces. And these are people who are deeply imaginative, who are in their own world. And so these are people who have a profound level of creativity and intuition and can draw from this to create profound works of arts. These are people who are visionaries, who have a huge vision and plan of what they want to create. They also are all about helping others. So these can be the people who are involved in charities, who are involved in helping children and animals born under this third quarter. These are people who have an ability to mix up their creative vision with a scientific way of thinking. Those who are born under the fourth quarter of Revati are born under a Pisces Navamsa. This is from 26 degrees 40 minutes all the way till 30 degrees of Pisces. So ending out the zodiac sign here. And this is a Virgotama position, as this is a double Piscean influence. So we are here in the sign of Pisces and in a Pisces Navamsa. These are people who are profoundly creative, imaginative, intuitive, deeply introspective, and people who need a great deal of isolation, who spend a lot of time to themselves. They are very calm, they're very reserved, very quiet individuals, and oftentimes are looking to move towards spirituality and a higher purpose in life. These are people who could be interested in the occult, astrology, all sorts of mystical and spiritual subjects. These are people who sometimes can be very daydreaming as well. And so sometimes there's a need to ground oneself and to organize one's life in order to be successful.